Hey there, I'm going to be making some dollar store spring DIYs and a gnome garden. I'm starting off with these gnomes that I picked up from Dollar Tree. You'll need some craft paints. I like the Deco Art brand, and I'm using a palette and some paintbrushes. You will also need some gesso. I picked mine up from Michael's. I'm going to start off by removing the tag off the bottom, and then I'm going to be giving these gnomes a coat of the white gesso. Now, I like to use gesso as my primer. Artists use it as a primer on canvases. This will cover up any of the dark paint that I no longer want to see. And the Artist Loft brand from Michael's is a good brand as it's really nice and smooth. So once you've got all the parts covered up with the gesso that you no longer want to use, you can then use some craft paints in the color choices that you like. I am really loving these pretty spring colors. So I've got a pretty light yellow, pink, blue, green, and a white. I've got my water, my paintbrushes. You'll need a flat brush and a liner brush, and then you can start to paint. So as you can see, the craft paint goes on really well. You will need to use approximately, I would say 3 coats of paint. Some of them you might need 4. It depends on the consistency of your paint, the craft paint that you use. But I find that actually with the Deco Art brand, I only needed 2 to 3 coats of paint. So it all depends on what type of paint you're using. I'm using the liner brush just to get into the little corners as well as touch up any of the edges. So just continue to paint your gnomes in the desired colors of your choice. So once the gnome is all dry, I am now going to go in with some black paint and redefine the belt as well as clean up the boots. So I'm just using a liner brush for this as well. So you could have just left the black belt that was originally there. That's totally optional, but I thought I could get a cleaner line if I go back in afterwards. I want to welcome you all to CreArtive by Nature, DIY and Decor. My name is Donna. If you're new, I'd love for you to subscribe to join my community, tap on the bell to keep up to date with everything I have to share. So now I'm just going in and just cleaning up the edges around the boots, and I accidentally got some gesso on the boots, so I'm just cleaning that up as well, and then I will allow that to dry. So I want to redefine the belt buckle as well, so I'm just using this white paint. You could use a silver as well, just any color of your choice. I am also going to use a toothpick, and I'm adding a dot to the eyes. I find that it makes it look a little more natural, as if there's light reflecting. That part is totally optional. So now I'm going to decorate the hats. I'm just adding some dots to this particular hat, and then I'm going to allow it to dry, and I'll be going back in to add some more color later. This hat, I'm just going to add a large little flower to the middle of this hat. You can decorate these any way you'd like. It's a really fun little whimsical touch. And now for this hat, I'm just adding some little flowers all over. Once you are done, allow each of these designs to dry, and then you can go back in and add some more detail. I I am really having fun customizing these little gnomes. I think it would make a great little gift if you want to give to somebody, and you can customize them to suit any decor and colors. Once you're done all the details, allow to dry, and then you'll want to go over them with some varnish. This will help the durability of the craft paint to really stick to the gnome, as well as help everything to pop. Aren't these little guys so cute? They are perfect for springtime, and you can display them anywhere in your home. You can even display them outside in the springtime. I would just make sure that it's in a protected area. Today's video is a fun one. It's part of the DIY Buddy Bunny Hop hosted by my friend Crafty Leanie. I am going to have the next person to the hop listed down in my description box. And you want to make sure you take part because we are having a $100 giveaway in US dollars. You must leave a comment on each video. I will have all the details listed down in my description box below. So for our next DIY, I am going to be using these cute little bunnies that I picked up from a store called Dollarama here in Canada. I am going to give this guy a coat of the gesso as well. It works really good on shiny plastics such as this. Now I found these last year at Dollarama. I think they're available still this year. You can definitely use ceramic bunnies instead. Just use whatever you can find on hand or in your stores. Once the gesso is all dry, you can then paint your bunnies any color you'd like. I am going to use this warm white. I really love this color. And I give the bunny approximately 2 to 3 coats of the paint. And then I allow it to dry well. If you're looking for something fun to do on a Saturday night, then pop on over to Crafty Leanie's channel for the Crafty Leanie Show. It's on every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once dry, you can then add some details. I wanted the eyes to pop a little bit more, so I am adding some black centers, and then I'm putting a little white dot in the middle. Again, that just helps with that reflective light that pops from the eyes. And I'm also adding a bit of pink to the nose. I just felt it just needed a little bit more interest, so I added the pink, and I'm also going to just use a little bit of the warm white just to kind of tone the pink down. So I am going to be giving these a coat of my varnish as well. I end up doing a total of 3 bunnies for this project. These little bunnies are a cute addition to your Easter or spring decor, and I think they look so cute sitting next to the gnomes. So this DIY is something I have done here on my channel before, but I thought I would just show you all again. They are using these cute little foam Easter eggs that I picked up from Dollarama, and they are heavily glittered. So I am giving them all a coat of this warm white craft paint. You could also use a robin's egg blue. That would be really pretty as well. I have them all on toothpicks. I can stick them in the styrofoam and allow them to dry. Now using some raw umber paint, some water, and a stiff bristle brush, I am going to add some water to the paint. And then I'm going to take the eggs and splatter them with my paintbrush. That will give that speckled egg look. I've used these eggs in a really cute nest DIY that I've done. I will link that video down below for you if you'd like to check that out after the hop. I think these eggs make a really sweet addition to my spring decor, and you can definitely make larger ones if you'd like. I just really like how they turned out. So now I'm using some mushrooms that I picked up from Dollar Tree. These were right next to the gnomes. I again am using my gesso, and I am just going to coat the top portion of the mushroom cap. I just wanted to cover up this glaze, and the gesso works again very well for this surface. Once dry, you can then use some soft paintbrushes and a liner brush, and you want to use some craft paints of your choosing. I am again using the colors that I used on the gnomes, and I give these mushrooms 2 to 3 coats of the paint. Now, this particular paint I'm using right now is a Craft Smart brand, and I did find that it was a lot thinner than the Deco Art, so I ended up having to put 4 coats of this paint on so you wouldn't see anything from underneath. So if you have a thinner paint like that, feel free to give the gesso 2 coats instead of just the 1. You can see here, this is the Deco Art paint, and it definitely has better coverage. So once my mushrooms are all dry, I am then going to be using these around, kind of like a liner brush, maybe a little wider, and I'm going to add some dots. Another option would be to add some flowers. Now that I think would be really, really cute as well. So I did go over all the dots twice with my craft paint, and now again I'm sealing it all up with my matte Deco Art varnish. It really does help the paint to pop. These mushrooms are such a fun and whimsical addition to your spring decor. I love how these turned out, and they look really, really good next to the gnomes as well as my bunnies. All right, now I'm going to put all those pieces together. Here are all the elements I am going to be using to make a gnome garden. I've got some florals from Dollar Tree, the pieces that I painted, some different types of moss, some bark, and some branches. This is some foraged moss here. I like to use natural elements in my decor whenever I can. These are some moss stones, and here's those cute little gnomes and the eggs, and I have the bunnies as well. So I am going to be using this canvas board that I picked up from Dollarama, but you could use a basket or a pot as well. So I'm going to start off by laying out all my moss and lichens, and then I'm going to start to add my pieces in. I just like to layer everything up. I'll move things around too if I need to. If you do this in a pot, you can fill your pot with dirt first, but I kind of like this sort of thing in a tray that I can recreate all the time. Now, this does not have any live plants, but you can definitely make this with living plants as well. To raise some of the items up, I'm using these little stumps. I believe I picked them up from Dollar Tree. I can't quite remember, but you could use any type of block just to raise your pieces, just so that there's different elevations of your decor. Here I am now adding some Dollar Tree florals that I had in my stash, as well as a few branches. I have those little cherry blossoms as well, which I'm going to be using. They are so pretty. I love the color that they are. What I do is just pull off the blossoms and then place them down onto the moss. Now I am adding some pieces of bark. I wanted this to look like it was from the forest. You could definitely add like a gnome house if you have one, or even an Easter tree would be really cute. Now I'm going to add those little mini eggs, and then I am going to show you what it all looks like. I think this is such a fun piece to have for Easter or springtime. I love how everything came together. As always, I like to know which is your favorite project. Leave a comment down below. I want to thank you all so much for being here, and I want to thank my fellow creators. And don't forget to go and click on the next video in the hop. Thanks so much for being here. Have a wonderful day. Bye.